fucking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Oh, yes, it is a thank God. It's Friday. We haven't done this in a while, and I forgot how realistic that ape sounded at the end of their intro. It's so good. But, hey, everybody, this is a special holidays version of the thank God. It is Friday.
It is holiday weekend right now, and there's nothing spookier. Well, there's one thing spookier than the Christmas season. It's Halloween. It's the second spookiest time of the year. And because of that, we have frightful festivities with the monster books that we picked for the TGIF this week. Got DC versus Vampires. And you know what else we got? We got DCeased, War of the Undead Gods.
Who ordered the steak?
Who ordered the steak? You did. You actually did pick these and said that we would do them because it is the spookiest time of year.
Dude, you got ghost stories every Christmas time. You got freaking guys with anagram names of Satan coming down in red red clothes coming down trying to tempt you with some presents. Spooky as hell, man.
You also have like a sus old man doing things with kids, just like Deathstroke in the one book, right? You got that.
What are you doing with Christmas?
It was different in my house.
Are you the sus old man?
Guess. No, I'm the guy who's trying to avoid this holiday season because it always ends up a shit show here at our house, like it did today.
Because you don't do it right.
Well, really, we don't.
Well, it's September. It's Christmas time, kids. Here's all your gifts.
Seriously, the kids say, oh, Madden's coming out. Can I put that on my list but get it now?
No.
All right. And then Logan, hey, can I get this outfit and a gold chain? All right, there you go.
The answer's no.
There you go. Here's your gold chain, and plus here's your Volkswagen Beetle emblem, so you can be, in fact,
kids still wear
Mike
gold chains?
He's got a gold chain. He liked it. He ended up where... He got this gold chain, but then he had to send it back to be refitted. This thing was a process with that.
Has he got a fat neck or what?
No, I don't know. I don't know anything about chains or things. I never owned chains. Do you think I'm 2 chains? I'm no chains.
Look, you were in prime time era of growing up where people would wear chains, so there's no way in my mind that you never wore a chain to be the cool guy, to reinvent yourself for the next year of high school.
I didn't have a lot of money growing up, and I did end up, as a rap fan, what I ended up doing, I had this piece of rope and I had a digital watch on it that was kind of close to Flava Flav. I ended up with there. And then I'd say, yeah, guy. And nobody liked me.
Guy.
Nobody liked me when I did it. And I ended up a big failure in life.
Do it.
Yeah, well, really. But the digital watch was pretty good. I did like that. But with all of that said and done, we do end up having these books. They're also, I was going to say, they're kind of out of continuity. So that means they're kind of make-believe, kind of like Santa's.
They're going on somewhere else.
Yeah, it is true.
Why would you say that?
I end up, plus, Santa, he's kind of a vampire, right? Isn't he? I think so.
Who ordered the steak?
This is why you don't do Christmas right. You think Santa's a vampire.
Is he an undead god? I don't know. He might be. It might be. I mean, he does a lot of crazy things in one night, right? There you go, Eric. But here we are. We're here with these books. I tried. And at the end of all of this, we end up having DC versus Vampires All Out War number 6. As you said, that'll be the ending. And it's weird because every time I go and read DCeased War of the Undead Gods, I always think are we 2 issues in? Oh, we're 5? And there's only a couple more. And it really is throwing me that I don't really feel like that story has really started yet.
Well, it's just because it's outstayed its welcome, and it's decided, we left a lot of things on the table with our initial story. We have to really clear the table, let people know what the answers are to the questions that are just yearning inside of them. But the problem is, we don't really have all of the story that we want to do, so we have to pad this out. So not a lot's going to happen except for big wow moments of characters that you love, just getting the axe to them.
Damn, there you go, Eric. You are telling it like it is. I wish I had the hot take there. I know that a lot of people end up continuing to like it, but it feels like now it's like, well, they don't really love this Undead Gods deal. It's more the idea in general, so they don't want to.
I'm still waiting for the Undead Gods to do something besides for people to tell me, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. We got to stop it. That's all that's going on with the Undead Gods, and planets you don't care about in our universe are getting taken over and destroyed. But does it really matter? Because who cares at this point in time?
I still say, I mean, I think I solved it.
Vic, so no.
You want to talk about equations? I think I solved it already. You get damn Brainiac, put those damn things in a bottle and put them away. I mean, that's all I would have done.
Planets in a bottle.
Exactly. But yeah, that's all you need to do. He's got the technology, right?
Just take, for the future thing, whenever we get Brainiac back in the main continuity, we're going to have him regular.
You want that?
The city's in a bottle.
That's all I'll do. And then we'll just hit it as a deal. We'll do that. But we're going to start with, again, the tie-in to the big event, the DC versus Vampires. Not really an event.
Just branching off in all kinds of different directions that nobody cares about.
Yeah, and it was weird because you ended up having the DC versus Vampires going on, and that was delayed after that first, 6 issues. Then we waited, then we had these deals with the one-shots, then we had this, and I don't know. It all kind of blends in together with me again, where
I agree.
I think that the story didn't need to be this drawn out or long. It really feels like we're at a point where for a while now, we're kind of just meandering. We're checking in with things. We're seeing what's going on. And this all-out war, you actually like more than me. I'm not saying this issue, but up until this point.
I've also DCeased more than you up until this point.
We get on tonight, and I'm like, finally, I can go with Eric. I'm like, hey. I don't mind this issue. You're like, well, here we go again. Because I actually thought, well, you're ending it. I'm kind of used to this. Oh, well, let's go on.
Well, we were talking about that. We're talking more about DCeased, which I've been higher on as well. But even the idea of DC versus Vampires, all out war with the black, white, and tones that they're going to give you, because you're not going to get a colored issue because DC wants to put out a side book that's not fully finished in my mind and just say red tones. How do you like that frightful apple right there? I'm like, I don't like it. Give me a goddamn fully finished comic and tell me a story that I care about in your DC versus Vampires lineup. Because right now we have DC versus Vampires All Out War number 6, written by Alex Packnadal and Matthew Rosenberg, with art by Pasquale Colano and Nicola Riri and Troy Patiri. And in this, we're continuing our journey with Deathstroke, Mary Marvel, and the whole gang of characters like Midnighter and Booster Gold who are trying to, be the side front to bring everything back. But they just keep screwing up over and over again. Oh my God, we need to bring back Batman to life because people need hope. I will bring back Jean-Paul Valley instead. Oh, he's going to become a vampire again, and then he's going to sacrifice himself. It doesn't matter. We got the Weather Wizard. We got our freaking plan, but he's a vampire as well. Well, we're going to kill him. We're going to put his vampire dead-ass body into some lazarus. Oh, my God, he's a Japanese blood demon for some reason now. We are screwed. Let's kill this guy, and let's move on. But also, Mary Marvel. Mary Bromfeld inside Mary Marvel. She's a vampire, but the mightiest maiden there is, she's not a vampire, and we have to deal with this nonsense as we just try to figure out what is going on in the DC versus Vampires Elseworld.
Yeah, and really after all that, all I figured out was...
Can't trust vampires, Jim. You can never trust vampires.
Here's the deal. Here's my theory. Because, again, you laugh, and the idea it's an incomplete deal. They didn't want to pay more than just getting red tones or whatever. I actually think that, in my mind, there's no real reason for this book, right? You end up where maybe some people will say, the little bit that you got, you could have had as a backup in the regular series, or it could have been worked in. I think that they're trying to just make it look so different that it just feels like it had to be its own thing. But it didn't. You could have just had this as a regular deal, regular art, regular all around. And so by the end, when you do get to this ending, yeah, we had a little journey. You had some fun with some of the things, little jokes and stuff and all that going on. But by the end of this...
I think that's one of the main series.
Yeah, it is. But even in this where it's just it really didn't need to happen.
Well, we get to this issue because we just keep coming across things to be our next greatest hope. Like I said before, we wanted Batman guy, Jean-Paul Valley. That fell through. We have this over here. That fell through. And now in this issue, our finale, we have Captain Cold is going to be our grand hero because as we went to Central City to find the last Lazarus pit underneath the Flash Museum, we saw Captain Cold in the street who decided just to take himself out of the equation because he used his cold gun against him to turn himself into a block of ice. And we find out on this, it was just for hibernation purposes because he got bitten by the vampires. It was the worst thing ever, and he didn't want to have the hungers.
He was like Walt Disney. He was like Walt Disney. He wants to get a cure. And I like that play. I just wonder why nobody ended up thawing him out before.
Well, I'm not thawing his ass out, too, and he's actually pissed that he got thawed out because he was waiting for a vampire cure, waiting for this all to blow over. So now he's just a vampire waiting for the hunger to kick in because somehow he's just not there yet, but can also survive, putting himself in hibernation with his cold gun, which is just a block of ice. And I hate whenever you have that with Mr. Freeze or Captain Cold, where these people get blasted, but, oh no, they're fine. Their entire, nervous system and internal organs are all frozen.
It almost feels like you just get them out of the trap of the ice, and then you leave everything behind.
Oh, they're good. Encino, man. Every time anybody does this.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so when you have that, I don't mind that play there with Captain Cold. Okay, I don't want to turn. I'm going to make myself... That's kind of clever, actually.
It's fine for what we're doing, but it's not something that turns into the idea well, all our greatest hopes have gone down the toilet now. Oh, you're saying that Supergirl's going to Australia because we need to get the sky to stop being filled with ash? You know what I can do? Me being Captain Cold, I can just use my cold gun against that and make all the ash fall from the sky when I make it too cold. Captain Cold is going to use cold to bring the sun back. He is our next greatest hope, and he happened to be just right there. And there was actually no reason for us to unfreeze him.
Well, and when you go with that, and they did unfreeze him, they end up doing all... It just feels like you could have made this a one-shot where they just stumbled in, saw Captain Cold. I mean, none of the other stuff matters, obviously, but one of the big things of this series, which does feel big, is the Superman stuff.
Baron Cinders?
That just ends up, okay, we're going to fight a bunch of times, and it really felt like this is an extended issue that really didn't have much going on.
I don't know what happened to Superman when he became a vampire, because everybody, for the most part, they get the bloodlust. They might let a lot of their inhibitions go because they like being a vampire. It's cool. We've seen Kiefer Sutherland rock that shit. He loves being a vampire. Why wouldn't Superman? But the idea that he is a Kryptonian whose powers are based on the sun. We can't have any sun because he's also a vampire. Oh my God, double-edged sword. What are we going to do? I wanted a fucking flaming Superman who just walks around completely powered up but also on fire because it's a badass concept. But what we got instead is Superman deciding, well, I don't have my powers part of me, but I'm going to put on a Lex Luthor power suit. I'm going to call myself the Baron Cinders. I'm like, why? Why did you do any of this?
Because even there's a lot of things in this whole series, right? That just end up being why. Yeah, and that's the weird play. And you didn't get the idea where, oh my God, like it was one of the things. If you end up having like in DCeased, if Flash gets infected, the speed, but you end up never really playing much up with the Superman, except when he comes here and he's just going to fight. But it is just a fight.
Well, even when you have the big fight, because he's all pissed off at our heroes in the series because Mary Bromfeld went and turned into Mary Bromfeld. She made Billy Batson turn into Billy Batson, and then she bit his ass, killed him, so we didn't have a Shazam vampire anymore. I don't know how Shazam vampire worked, and we don't have a Shazam Mary Marvel, even though Mary Bromfeld's a vampire.
I know.
All that aside, Billy's out of the equation. Mary's all that's left. She's all upset because she done killed Billy. I hurt so bad, but Superman's even more pissed because you killed my boy Billy. We're going to do great stuff together, but you killed my boy Billy. So now he's going to be pissed off, and the only way that this works for our story is that we have to say, even with his Lex Luthor power suit, which I think he's only wearing the leg part at this point in time, but who knows, because we only have gray tones for that. But when you have the idea, when we had Starfire previously, she charged me up a little bit with a blast, so now I can, do Superman stuff, even though, why? Why is that a thing we have to have right now? How cool it would be to have a vampire Superman who doesn't have his powers to give our heroes the advantage instead of him just using his heat vision to solve Midnighter and Booster Gold in half.
Exactly. That's all he does here. And you even have that play where there's Superman, Baron Cinder, and he's like, I'm going to take you guys down. He does end up getting Midnighter. And then right after Midnighter's dead, you have Booster go, oh, man, I'm going to put these force fields in your head. Like, do it then. Why didn't he do it before?
Why didn't he keep doing it?
And then he stops and then gets blasted. And then it's like, what? Oh, no.
The worst part about all of this,
the man I used to be. I'm done.
We have a Constantine ghost that's being able to be seen for whatever reason, unlike Deadman, who's also there but can't be seen, so I don't know the rules of ghosts, apparently. But the idea, we have dwindled down everything. We have Captain Cold and Mary Marvel left. They're going to go off and do their thing. All of our rest of our heroes, Deathstroke, Booster Gold, and Midnighter, all torn apart by Baron Cinder before Deathstroke, took Superman out with his final act before he died, which is probably just dead man in there, even though Deadman shouldn't be able to possess dead people.
I know. Well, that's something recently that they have been doing, but still.
It's such a weird idea that we have all of this going on, and then when everybody leaves, for our finale of this side series of all-out war to get Captain Cold to Australia, even though Midnighter was ripped in half, he comes back to life and like, hey, where you guys at?
I know, what was that?
He's only an upper body.
Now, one thing I did like was when they did have the play, and it's kind of subtle. Actually, it's not subtle.
Is he going to get bored with wheels and wheel his ass Australia?
I have no idea. He's just there. He's not going to be able to do any of the legwork. Eric, they're gone.
That's the best joke you have ever done.
Why don't we saw his legs running around? But I really liked, and even if it's the red tones and stuff like that, I like when you have Midnighter like, all right, let me figure things out. And you have the ones and the zeros there with the fight. I thought that was really neat, the way that played out. But other than that, the ending is so convoluted because, again, Deathstroke's there. A lot of people pointed out, and I said to you, he's getting a little too close to a young girl once again.
Look, people got to stop worrying about Tara at this point in time because we pretty much erased that from continuity.
Tara. I know, but still, he's there like, come here, baby girl. But really, it's Deadman's. It's
just
all
look
weird.
at Slade as a fatherly figure who cares at the end of the world. That's it. And again, a fatherly figure who cares at the end of the world for people who aren't his children. Let's take it like that.
Exactly. But even so, like this whole play, the real play is that, Deadman's doing things, and he even says to Ghost Constantine at the end, don't tell Mary it was really me. And it was nice enough. I mean, that part. But the funniest play is, first off, it's a book that you're doing vampire stuff. This is the side book.
Can't trust vampires.
I don't really care that much when there's no wow moment of this Booster with a mohawk getting sliced in half.
Exactly.
Right?
And you just have withered old man looking Booster Gold. I don't know why he has to look like this when vampires take over. I don't like it, but he just looks like emaciated Booster Gold who's still fighting the good fight for some reason until he's, sawed in half as well.
Well, he is.
He's my fun time boy.
He's a fun time boy, and this isn't fun time stuff, right? So I'm telling you, in it where you're wondering why he's involved, and the idea when he goes down, you're like, it doesn't even feel like a Booster. I know, Midnighter, whatever, but you're not going to get sad because this is what's been happening in this little side series. I've never really gotten attached to any of the characters. You do have that connection with Mary and Deathstroke a bit there as they do that.
They're the
but
best.
Overall, even when you get I used the Angel Sword, I did it. There was no feels to it. And then I think that Packnadal, who I think is writing most of this, ends up wanting the feels. Oh my God. Superman, Baron Cinder, that might be the most laughable lines. I mean, it comes off like I don't know. What is this, The Room? I mean, it's that bad a dialogue.
Deathstroke impales Superman through the back, through the chest with, Azrael's sword right now. And it's like, we're coming, Pa. Crypto's just gone after the ball. Think it landed in Nebraska's paw.
What is that?
Baron Cinder's last words, dead.
That is basically the crutches.
That's how I have to read it.
I ain't gonna walk again. Not even on crutches.
We're coming, Pa.
Yeah, you're still golden.
Crypto's just gone after the ball.
Yeah, the play of this is so laughable. I laughed out loud.
Oh, no, not Baron Cinders.
It's that bad. I mean, I just know we're coming, Pa, and he's crying. I'm like, get out of here, vampire Superman. It's so ridiculous. But what I was waiting, and actually could have played it, I was actually waiting, I don't know how, some Buffy moment where suddenly Superman was going to be cured. I don't know how this works.
All of a sudden where freaking Willow puts his soul back in his body?
Yeah, or how this angel sword, that was going to do something.
That's going to burn the sin away?
Exactly. I thought there was going to be something like that where he was then going to realize he's dead and just say thank you.
Maybe he did because he's like, Pa, we're coming.
I still see the vampire teeth is what gets me, but I guess maybe when you have those, do they end up, how do teeth change like that anyway?
Man, I don't know.
So
That's
with that, though, it was a joke. I mean, this is the big bad of this play and something we really wanted to explore of what would happen if you ended up having Superman as a vampire and the guy ends up, crying like a little, whatever at the end. Oh, my goodness, I'm coming, Pa. And then just goes down. And then, like you said, to just top that off, which it might top that, Eric, when they fly away, when Captain Cold and Mary Marvel go off, and really that's the only thing you need to know, is that with all of this going down and Weather Wizard not being involved, Captain Cold needs to get to Australia before he turns into a vampire, and he's got to get the clouds cold because you end up having to have Supergirl, charge up. But what really is the best is that Midnighter at the, hey, everybody, where'd everybody go? I'm like, what
just imagine where we left off. I have no idea the time frame from where we left off in DC versus Vampires to where we are in All Out War. But the last thing we saw was Supergirl. She was in a rocket ship going on that exploded.
That's all I could think of.
What are we doing with Captain Cold and Mary Marvel at that point? Is she just going to catch Supergirl?
Well, the rocket exploded. She then falls to the earth, and now she needs them to make the sky. I don't know. It's just crazy. Again,
but we'll find out.
Remember, the whole play was she needs to get charged up so she could start a-blowing. They need her to blow them clouds and everything that gets in line for that, right? So, you think that is?
Unacceptable!
Oh, my goodness.
Listen to Slade over here.
And so, you're starting out with the idea, like you said, that the last issue of DC versus Vampires, it looked like their one hope had exploded in a rocket ship. And now they end up having
Not a euphemism.
Mary Marvel taking Captain Cold, which doesn't seem like it really will work anyway. I don't know. I don't know the physics and the weather.
Well, I just imagine we have Captain Cold, who is our hero at this moment, our last chance to save the day, as far as this team's concerned. And Mary Marvel, before they do fly off, she's all worried because Deathstroke, who's been a father-like figure to her this whole time during the end of the world, he's dead now, and she's upset. But here's what Captain Cold says to her, because it is snowing outside. The blizzard, it'll last a little bit longer. It'll cover him real good, I promise.
Yeah.
It'll cover them all.
This is such a hokey
Captain
book.
Cold.
Classic Captain Cold.
It'll cover him real good.
It's not, this isn't what I think that it's next week when we get the finale of the DC versus Vampires. This is not making me think there's going to be like a real happy ending. It doesn't seem like the plan has come together like a Hannibal would like to in the A-Team. It ain't working. So, really, he loves it when it happens. I don't think he's lighting the cigar, but we'll see. But then we do have the backups. And that's
what is this backup for? Who is this for and why?
It's not for me. I'm telling you right now, this is the finale that goes off into the deal. Why couldn't you have more story? But there isn't more story. But the main story should have just been the full amount. And, you get this Poison Ivy deal. That's nothing.
What happens if Poison Ivy becomes a vampire? Because she's a half-human, half-plant lady. But now she's a vampire and she craves the blood. She's freaking... I was actually going to send you a clip from Little Shop of Horrors where it's Audrey 2 talking about, feed me!
Yeah, exactly.
Because all I thought about doing is because she's evolved now. She's a plant-human hybrid vampire that craves the blood. She's evolved from what she originally was into a half-human, half-plant hybrid. And now she's evolved again. And she's got to find her ass to Gardner.
But she has her team there with, she's like, I gotta find Gardner. And I was like, isn't that her right there? Maybe not. I don't know. And then at the end, she just repeats herself. I'm like, get out of town.
Every drop of blood until I'm satisfied, until I evolve yet again.
To me, I don't know. It just feels weird to end the story in the main deal, to go off to, save the day or whatever, go to the main deal, and then just have this nondescript backup that you just thrown in there. If you have a book that is, I guess DC's saying that this is a viable book that should be published, there should be more story to the regular part. Extend that. Screw these backups. Nobody
I just imagine this backup's
these.
Going to be the whole plot of our next one, because now, like I said, you have a Poison Ivy who's a vampire who's like bloody vines are going to take over the entire city.
And that'll just be it.
Is this going to be our next spinoff where it's DC versus Vampires, Fangs and Thorns?
Well, you may have that. I don't know. I know that...
If that happens and they don't call it Fangs and Thorns,
then you're done. The idea, though, does this... They're going to make another series. I'm trying to say, are they going to have a part 2? Is enough people... Are people really enjoying this? I don't know.
Isn't this part 2 already, or 0.5?
No, whatever it is. But I'm saying this whole DC versus Vampires, if we continue it, I don't know. Is this the Perfect Strangers situation again? That I see that the sales were going up, but is anybody really reading it and caring about it? I don't know.
You know I love Perfect Strangers.
I know, or Huey Lewis. But it's just a weird play. I don't really get a lot of people down at the malt shop like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what happens in this. It always just feels like, you know what it is? It's an aside where when they mention DCeased, then this kind of pops up of, I kind of like that too. It's just weird. Or it's, they're just doing Vampire's version of DCeased. I just don't get that this is that popular. And at the end of this, Fangs and Thorns are
damn right.
What you said. So
Fangs and
there
Thorns.
You go. But really, I don't know. The backup was nothing. And I'm not even going to put that into my score. But my score... I thought that I liked it more, but I'll still probably be around your score. What would you give it?
I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. I'm not a huge fan of the art. The art does its fun job. I just would like some actual color so the book would look finished in the long run. I know that's not what they're going for, but I don't like what they're going for, so more color. But the thing is, with the idea of the team that we're going, people are just slaughtered because we have to have the finale here where it doesn't matter anymore. Baron Cinder, who could have been an amazing character, Paul McCummins! It just comes to a really cringy moment that doesn't matter at the end. And Captain Cold, who we just saw was frozen in a block of ice last issue, he's now our savior to fucking end the vampire apocalypse. And it just feels like everything just comes at you because it needs to, and doesn't really feel like a flowing story that feels good.
Yeah. Do you think that you were supposed to get feels from that Superman? I mean, first off, it's the hokiest dialogue that we've read in a while, and we've read some bad dialogue, but even then, that I know everybody loves Superman. Oh my God. But the problem is that in this, he's Baron Cinder. The whole we saw of him, he's being just totally a piece of crap. That doesn't redeem anything. I mean, he doesn't go down saving somebody. If he ended up where he suddenly saved Supergirl with the last deal with that rocket ship and then he's going to die, then maybe I'd feel something with it. Oh my God, he redeemed himself. There was something good in him. He just cut 2 people in half and then ends up getting run through as he's talking shit.
For whatever reason, he's fine.
Yeah, so he killed 1.5 people and at the end he's still talking shit and then gets run through. And then he has
counts too. Deathstroke's dead.
Yeah, that's true. But he kind of went at the end, Pa! I'm like, really? Like, does Pa care? Does he care about you now? Holy moly, I don't know. It just ended up so hokey. So I was originally a 6, so I was a little higher than you. It's still not great. I'll go down to 5.5. I'll match you with that 5.5 because, boy, it was hokey. And at the end,
5.4 out of 10.
The end, you really 5.3. You really don't. Do I have 5.2? We didn't really get much out of this. I mean, You're going to end up, I guess, seeing Captain Cold in the finale of just to make it seem like this was important and he needs to read it, but you did not
Imagine
need
if we
to.
don't.
Oh, that would be hilarious. I hope we don't, and then we'll go back and
they're still trying to fly to Australia. It takes a while to get there.
I know it does. I was going to ask you. That's
Speed
the
of Mercury.
play here. Yeah, you end up where you have that speed, but could Captain Cold withstand that as you're flying?
No.
Because, and really exposed to the elements. You know, you're really going to have to take the time.
Guy was in a block of ice. He's fine.
You better just throw him to the side, right? He's going to end up being a vampire.
He's a vampire. Like, he's not fully turned there because he doesn't have the bloodlust yet, but he's getting there, so he'll be fine.
I don't know about polarities and the things like that and the weatheralities, but to me, you might be able to get Mary Marvel up there at Australia. Just do your thing up there. Custom lightning.
About barometers.
That might end up like, making the clouds kind of go away or something. I don't know. She's got the wisdom of Solomon. Use that for once and get over there in Australia, make things work. I think it's more viable than the idea of, I'm going to use my cold gun on the cloud. I imagine the clouds are just going to be on a block of ice and fall down, but luckily it'll shatter and they won't die. Oh my God,
it's
clouds!
Snowing
You're
in
still
Australia.
there. Yeah, really? You're gonna be in the outback, right?
Does it snow in Australia anywhere? I don't think it does. As soon as I said, I don't know anything about anywhere.
It might, but it probably does now. If I'm there, I'm in a kangaroo pouch with all that goo and shit in there that they talk about. Oh my goodness, that's disgusting, Eric. It's disgusting as hell. But we're gonna move on to the next book, which we kind of talked about at the beginning as well. But DCeased War of the Undead Gods, number 5. 5 of 8.
Of 8, yeah.
Is it? Or is this
there?
Or is this 1 of 4? I don't know, Eric, or whatever. But this is written by Tom Taylor, art by Trevor Harrison, Neil Edwards, Rain Barreto, and Seda Temofonte. And we're gonna call it the War of the Undead Gods, but has the war started, or is it over?
That's the thing. Nobody cares about the idea because we have a lot of our heroes who have survived the DCeased, the anti-life equation that's been turning everybody into zombies. They have come back. We have a cure. But last time we saw our heroes, they had to go to Oa because, oh my God, guess what, everybody? We don't have to deal with the anti-life equation being corrupted as it is. We don't have to deal with an undead dark side and new gods and the craziest shit. We got to deal with Erebus.
Yeah, Erebus.
Erebus. We're going to say it throughout this whole issue, but we're not going to deal with Erebus. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to take from Erebus.
And that's what I get here, where they're talking about this idea where this is supposed to be the big thing. Like, oh my God, this is something that you should have, like, hey, get this. If I'm at the comic book shop and they're like, oh man, how's this new DCeased? Is it pretty good? Who's the big bad this time? Is it still just the anti-life? No, it's Erebus. Oh, you can get, who the hell is that? I don't know. Well, it's Darkseid. Oh yeah, Darkseid's the Yellow Lantern, but Erebus.
An anti-life corrupted Darkseid Yellow Lantern. These are the big wow moments that we're going to get in this whole thing, but you're not really going to do much with them. They're just there for McFarlane to make action figures down the line.
Yeah, down the line. And really a lot of the stuff in this, and has been in at least this War of the Undead Gods, it really feels really like wow moments over story. There was story before. It did have something to go, and we were interested enough.
Well, even imagine what we had from the last issue, where all of a sudden we had Ares, the god of war, he's on our hero's side now. And on top of that, you had Mr. Mixel Spitlick, who has come the freaking fifth dimensional imp who has godlike powers, even higher in my mind than Ares, the god of war. You have these characters on your team. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the fight to the freaking anti-life because they're over there taking on freaking Kilowog's home planet, and we just can't stand aside. No matter what fucking little tiny blue guardians tell us, we got to go because Kilowog, he's our boy. So everybody's going to go on this suicide mission to stop the anti-life from destroying Bolivar Vix, and this whole thing just becomes Mr. Mixel Spitlick, who you want to see do some amazing shit because he showed up and you want to see it. He just goes up the dark side like, I can just take you away with just a snap of my fingers. And then Darkseid shows him the anti-life equation, and we have a zombie Mr. Mixel Spitlick who just goes in back and destroys Oa. So apparently the little blue bastards were right, and we done fucked up.
Yeah, this is Mr. Yakety Yakalick. I mean,
don't talk back.
Why? The problem is you can't talk back because he keeps talking. I just kept thinking, why aren't you doing things? You are just talking and talking, and you got to do something here. And he doesn't. And then he ends up being turned in a way that it's so weird that why do this? Why have him show up just to have him be bad and you could have had him been infected
what's
some
Ares
other way.
Doing this?
He's just hanging. And that's what gets me in this where I don't know. I like Tom Taylor. He at one point was probably my top 3 writers, but he ends up where he stopped telling stories and it just tells moments and pushes them together because in this you have to have John and Clark. They're hugging and they're having.
I want to come with you. I know you do, son, and I want you with me too. But you know what? We have a whole new Earth to take care of, and they need a Superman. So even though I think I would have the greatest advantage over anything if you came, they need you even more. I love you, Dad. I love you, son.
I'm telling you, it's nice enough, but I'm like, get off the pot, get moving.
We have so much to deal with this whole thing because even when they get to Volavax Vix. To take on the anti-life equation, like new gods and shit like that. We also have the appearance that Superman's seeing for the first time of the anti-life Supergirl. On top of everything else, you have all of these amazing elements with the Yellow Lantern, anti-life Darkseid going on as well, just taking over everything. And then when Mr. Mixel Spitlick becomes anti-life himself and this becomes giant, charges through the goddamn universe to get back to Oa. This crashes through it, so now all the Green Lanterns are suffocating in space. Before that all happens, we have Kilowog and John Stewart try to, create a contract ball around themselves, which Mr. Mixel Spitlick just crushes in his hand. So these characters are all dead as well. So even the idea of, Kilowog and John Stewart pretty much gave us the rah-rah speech to get us to come here. They're dead, so what's it matter? The planet's dead, always dead, and now we just have the next big wow moment where Spectre's like, fuck all this shit, I can't let this stuff go on. So now I'm going to fly to Oa, take on Mr. Mixel Spitlick, and I'm also going to save all the Green Lantern Corps by picking up the main power battery and holding it like a lantern, like I'm a Green Lantern, while I fight Mr. Mixel Spitlick. And I'm like,
he's got a green cape, right?
These ideas that you're throwing at me, it's fine. It's just one after the other. It might be a flip book of wow moments.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Shit you ain't never seen before, ain't it cool? Let's move on.
And that's okay, and some people like that. I mean, and they can like it. The problem, again, is this idea of just explaining it out loud. Hey, Erebus. That's the big bad. Who's
Erebus?
That? Yeah. And then, what else did they do? Well, get this. They go to Bolivar Vix, and they're like, who? Kilowog's planet. And they try to save it, but they don't, and they I'm like, really? These are like...
But then the Green Lanterns are going to die, but then they don't.
Yeah, it seems like the actual story, he's run out of gas with those moments, so he's got to make it, because really, you have Mixel Spitlick in here, right? That's cool. It's crazy. I ended up worrying about it, but let him do at least some of his things. Let the boy make things, because he's talking a good game. I could turn you into a flower arrangement. I could make you into a speech.
Do something, goddamn.
Why didn't you, first off, let him do something? It doesn't have to be against Darkseid or whatnot. You're heading there, and he ends up where he fights somebody and turns them into something, right? Play up the fun of Mixel Spitlick. Not a lot of people love him fully, but there's fun to be had, because what I want then, I want to see what a screwed up zombie version of what would be his imagination. What would he make? Because I think he would just make slabs of meat or something. But I want to play that up. I want to see that.
You have the anti-life corrupted him, so it's not even Mr. Spitlick anymore. So even the idea of him having this, but even though it seems to know things, so the virus of this contagion can actually do stuff to make itself go further with whoever their host is and stuff like that, he just gets big and flies through space. That's all he does. fifth-dimensional imp, big and fly.
I wanted to see what big or little imagination
King
you would
Kong
have
ain't
from
got
that,
nothing
right?
on Mr. Mixel's
No.
Spitlick.
So it ends up, even that could be the play where at one point they're like, look at you with your little hat. Oh my God. And he's like, what do you think? All I can do is get real big, and like something where it plays out the idea.
Stetson.
It's something that I can laugh at, like, oh, look, you really do need the imagination and the like, because he is a fun character. And, hey, he's full of life, he is. Well, what would it be where he has that play going on with the anti-life deal, but you don't play it up. You just have him bashing through
I expect his Willy Wonka looking ass to show up and show me a world of imagination going on here, but we got nothing.
Yeah, I thought we'd get both sides of it and see what an unimagined, but no, you have him talk shit. You have him show up and
now it's time
just
for the Quintessence Inspector to say, I ain't going to deal with this shit no more. It's time for the Spectre to get into this game. Okay, Spectre, go do it.
Yeah, go. I love it where the Quintessence is sitting around and then you end up having the Obi-Wan moment, oh my God, I think the central battery just went down. I felt it. All right,
it's
whatever.
Back up, though, because the Spectre's holding it.
And then the Spectre just flies off. That's the wow moment there, but is it? And half of that, I'm telling you, there's Kyle. Poor him, sort of. They're dead. I mean, the Spectre doesn't get there that quick. And then I want a guy
90 seconds. It's fine. He's the Wrath of God. He can get where he needs to get.
I'm telling you, I want a guy to be like, man, everybody, oh shit, they're dead. They're all dead. You would have a heart attack or something first, seriously. But
well, I would. I'm not a Green Lantern.
Yeah, maybe not. That's the big. I mean, and that's the big.
These are fit boys and women.
The big wow moment is, an abbed out Spectre clenching his fist. That it does look big. It does end up looking
again. I'm telling you,
huge.
Gigantic wow moments that you thought you'd never get to see. A zombie Mr. Mixel Spitlick going against a Spectre holding a Green Lantern, like lantern. Like the whole idea. It looks amazing, but what are you doing with the overall story for what we're doing? Because in the background of all of this, what we found out last issue. Erebus, which I still don't understand what it fully means. Like, I know it's a god and stuff like that.
Yeah, we
know I don't know
that.
why the universe is fucking tightening their buttholes when they say Erebus.
Oh my God, everybody's losing their minds with, oh my God, it's Erebus? And so at the end, I think you're completely right. The whole play of this, it feels like you have your action figures right there. I wish we were on video. There they are. They're hanging out. And yeah, well, at some point you might be like, man, what would happen if the Deathstroke was a zombie and went after this guy? But there's nothing to it. You're bashing them together without a story. And at the end, even where you have Mixel Spitlick's like,
bang, bang, bang.
And you're like, all right, you're doing it, I guess. But overall, I don't feel any of the tension that we had before.
What if Carrie Kelly and Harley Quinn teamed up?
Yeah, really? There you go. You're looking at your deals, but that's what it feels like. But it gets bigger.
Oh no, Reverse Flash is here.
Like he's going with, hey, Weapons Spectre ended up having the power battery.
Which is funny because the thing is, this is a gigantic wow moment, but I also do feel like I've seen this before because I read the Hal Jordan Spectre series where you constantly had covers like this when Hal Jordan was the Spectre trying to redeem himself after the whole Parallax fiasco. So I've seen this personally, but I'm like, it was cool back then, it's cool now. But the overall DCeased story just feels like it's just over the top to the point where you actually can't tell a proper story because it's too big to contain.
It's too big. It's too big to contain. And so you go, and now all you can do is try to go bigger and bigger, but we're at this point where you kind of went already too big. And
I'm going home. I can't go that big.
Well, we told that. I'm staying on the porch. That's what I'm doing. I don't even have a porch, but you end up. I do actually.
You do have a porch. I'm like, you're a liar.
Yeah, you end up there.
Get on that porch.
See, there you go. I try to tell a joke, and I can't even tell it because I can't lie. Oh my goodness gracious! But you end up like even the dark side. You told the joke. You're not getting off the
porch. Why do you have to continue on?
I don't know.
Even have a porch. I'm like, you were fine. You were fine. Calm down.
Faking the funk, and I knew you would say something, but still, like the Yellow Lantern dark side. That again, that's a cool
not even Yellow Lantern dark side. Yellow Lantern zombie dark side.
Yellow Lantern zombie, like that's something you're like, get this, and Yellow Lantern, and they're like, oh right, and if you stop there. You're fine with this. If you stop and go, man, that's awesome. But if you say, man, that's cool. How did that happen? And what does it mean? He's there. I mean, you repeat the thing. This is almost like when you say about the Bat God stuff. Like, how did Batman do it? He's Batman. I mean, but how did he do it? He's Batman. With that, they're like, if I tell you the wow moment, you ask anything, I'm just going to repeat. No. Zombie juxtaposed Lantern, there it is. And you even see it here, and you have some moments, but there's not the.
But you don't even see him fight. He
anymore.
Just holds up a corrupted mother box that has the stupid The thing is, I like the anti-life equation as a concept. When Grant Morrison just went and made the equation for it, so you saw the happiness minus this times. I'm like, it's the stupidest goddamn thing I ever saw. If I see this equation of words and X's and divides, and I'm like, this is just stupid. Now, if you actually put it into a system where it's corrupted, like we saw in Final Crisis, where it went through the internet and it was displayed. And look, I don't like Final Crisis either, but for some reason, anti-life equation is fine with me, but when you see it spelled out the way that Grant Morrison spelled it, it always looks dumb. So you just have a mother box with spelling this out to Mxyzptlk, who loses his damn mind.
And that's the crazy thing there. When I thought about it when we got Mxyzptlk last time, and we ended up talking about it, the thing that I thought was going to be intriguing, maybe we'll still see it. This might be, Mxyzptlk, he might be the virus in the computer now, because there is an equation. You have it set up. Yeah, it's wonky, you said. But there's Mxyzptlk who legitimately could probably tell you the answer of what's blue plus apple minus 5, right?
He's connected to a higher dimension of godlike being, so you have this access for the virus to even go bigger and infect all of those and make it so nothing good. But you're never going to see it like that, because like the Yellow Lantern Darkseid, when the Yellow Lantern ring that, I wanted the virus to corrupt the Yellow Lanterns, go to the antimatter universe where it was created, do all of this stuff, just pretty much be like an internet connection where it corrupts everything it's connected to. But we didn't get that. It's just Yellow Lantern, Zombie, Darkseid,
yeah, it's
and
just
we're
to
moving on.
get him as a figure to go. But I really thought the idea that even the anti-life, the whole deal, because it's an equation, the way they spelled it out, and the way that it is something that is, almost technical, the kind of deal, which I hate. Like you said, I don't like that either. But there's Mxyzptlk, who really, that's nothing that's logical. It's nothing with the fact, and I thought we were going to end up having that as a play, like he couldn't even be infected by it, because he's a pure imagination, as you said, and it's something that's not imaginative going against you. But the problem I have with this is that you kind of can't have a lot more people that, everybody's dead, who's dead and corrupted, all that. And that was always the big part of the feels. And we always said Tom Taylor was the guy at one point, he kills everyone. He still does it a bit, but he's already done it here. You're too far along. So these not even wow moments, these personal character moments are just kind of been there, done that. You get Superman and John. Hey, kid, I'm going to miss you. You make sure everybody's okay. It doesn't really play out. You get Barda and Mr. Miracle come in with the Black Racer, and it's kind of like just an aside. Oh,
again,
man.
It's again, that does nothing for the story except for Barda and freaking Scott Free
show
with
bit,
Black Racer, the death of the new guy. It's like, that is a wow moment. But what do you do with it? Nothing.
Yeah, and even then, it's like everything feels like it's supposed to be big character-wise. I'm saying it.
Look at his ski feet.
I know, I see him there.
Black Racer, so
yeah, it's
who
so
would
ridiculous.
fight the Black Racer or the Silver Surfer? Because Kirby, Kirby does these things.
Yeah, well, it'd be funny if they both went on a vacation, but the problem is it's in the
But
Caribbean.
where would you go?
It's in the Caribbean. You can have the surfing a little still, but you can't. Or maybe we go to the Alps, and now you have the Black
Nobody's
Racer.
happy in this relationship, Jim.
I know that it is like Lady Hawk again. Everything ends up being Lady Hawk to me. But like I said, the things that I liked, and everybody has different reasons for liking things, but the Tom Taylor that I really love, you had it points in Injustice, you had it in DCeased, you had it in a lot of things where he makes me care. I always say, makes me care about characters that I normally wouldn't care about, because you see that different side of them when shit hits the fan and whatnot. This has just gotten to the point now. It's just like, where should we go next to fight somebody?
Who we gonna kill now?
And we'll have a wow moment and leave. I don't have that. Like, they tried also. Oh my God, Kilowog's whole planet. Does that really get anybody that, like, oh, there's the feels that I'm waiting for? Because you don't really even deal much, and then it gets ripped apart.
I'm trying to remember my continuity, because I feel like I've read where his planet was destroyed before, and he was the only one.
Legitimately, right now on the Patreon, just a little shout out, me and my man Matt are doing Millennium. And at that point, in Millennium number 3, you end up having them mention, ooh, Kilowog's planet, everybody was dead. And they get upset because they go to China, and there's a crowd. And the big play is, oh no, Kilowog, all those people were always in crowds. He's going to get upset. I'm like, that's what's going to trigger him, crowds. But it had just happened around that 88 time it seemed in that. So, yeah, that did
Because it
happen.
did come back, I'm pretty sure, as well, though.
Yeah, but it did happen, and it was something that's being dealt with in the Millennium event. But still, again, I don't know that. I mean, Kilowog, no, I don't think there's anybody out there that hates Kilowog. Kilowog should probably be
Cruiser.
universally loved, but it's not like he's a lot of people's favorite character, right? He's just there, and he's that tough sergeant guy. He's going to train you, whatever. And you just
he's early Ernie.
Yeah, and it's almost like at this point, Tom Taylor has a list of characters and things he wants to get done, and he's running out. He's running out of characters to get feels from, and that's what I really think he's best at. And
but Jon Stewart died here with Kilowog. It felt like a whimper, not like a big bang that anybody would really care about, because we just have to move on because the wow moment is so big. We don't have time to care about it.
And it just gets squished. That's
squishy.
That's what I wanted to see, the pure imagination, but the opposite of it, the anti-imagination. I guess that's what it was, because they just get squished. I'm like, all right, I get it. But yeah, there you go. And we end with, oh my God, Mixel-Spitalik versus the Spectre. So we'll see how that works out.
How bigger can you get?
Yeah, I don't know. What would you give this?
Again, I think the art's fine in this. Usually, like, sometimes we have problems with the art. I think this is actually done very well for what we do with this. Everybody looks great in this whole thing. It's just the utilization of the characters feels like it's just get them to point A to point B to have your next wow moment, because that's all we really do, to have a big battle here that ultimately doesn't matter because we're going to have an even bigger wow moment. We're not going to deal with any of this. Just kind of underwhelming in how the scope of it, because you can't do enough with how big you've made it. So a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm a 6. And it's funny too, because I don't know how, why, or what, but it does look like the quintessence stuff.
Fine, 6. I'll go with 6 as well. Even Steven with this.
That's Neil Edwards on art at the end. Trevor Harrison shares the pencils with it, and at the end, it's Edwards. You can tell that change of that real dark, gritty style to a little cleaner style. And I really like it. I mean, at the end, that Spectre, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Even like that Spectre holding the Green Lantern, it's not, I'm telling you, people don't yell at me. It's not like an Alex Ross quality deal, but it does remind me of something Alex Ross would do. Like that feels like almost like a Kingdom Come panel where you'd have this huge deal and it looks really epic, and I thought it was cool. Yeah, really.
Or just go read Hal Jordan Spectre.
Yeah, or you have that. I just like the way it looks there. Yeah, that might be troubles too. I actually, just as an aside, I actually tried to find Millennium on the app, and I was having problems, but I'm a bad speller. I looked real quick. I'm like, I don't know if that's in. I'm like, it's 5 L's and 3 N's. I'm there. Where is it? But yeah, I was finding a lot of other things, but not that, which shocked me. But yeah, at the end, I think, yeah, we're both 6s. That would be a kiss my grits, but I don't have it available. So it's a Wolfman 6. Boom, there. And yeah, that's that.
Can you hear this wind hitting my freaking window?
Oh yeah,
right
I thought it was Jess there going through cabinets. I was gonna say, tell her where the popcorn is, Eric.
It just keeps slamming over and over again. I actually thought it was going to cave in.
It's bad here, actually. I thought we were going to have flooding. And that would be a disaster for us at the house here, especially because our basement got flooded a bunch of times and it ruins the heater. We didn't get that. That seemed to, but boy, the gale force winds. Gale force, they say, Eric. I got the warning earlier.
Who's
all of a
Gail?
Sudden, I don't know, but she's very forceful. Oh my God, she blows.
Just how I like it.
Oh my. Yeah, that is true. But yeah, I hope that you have a couple more issues in this, and I hope it does end with some, like now I want, all right, let's get going now. And I keep thinking that, and it just doesn't feel, you went big, but like you said, it's almost like you hate, oh my God, it is getting bad. You really hate spiders, right? You don't like them. You hate them, but you could watch 8-Legged Freaks because you said
they're goofy now.
Too ridiculous. It's too goofy. It's getting to that point. Mixel-Spitalik coming in and becoming this giant deal, and then having, it's almost getting too big. It's getting too ridiculous. It's hard to take it, you know, kind of there seriously. But again, it's Elseworld. Stuff has its own world now, Eric, its own Earth. I don't want anything to do with that Earth.
Again, what are we doing with this Earth anymore? Like, I'm sure we'll have another sequel that really is just over the top nonsense, but everything's kind of done. It's just over. Even if we cure the anti-life, corruption that we have here, we're stuck on another planet where everybody's like, remember how cool it used to be?
I'll give you the deal where I always complain, because when you have these Earths, and oh my God, that's Gotham by Gaslight. Like, it never is how it ended the story. You're just, like, always right in the middle of shit. Like, if you go to Earth 3 and the Crime Syndicate, they seem to have forgotten everything else that ever happened, and they're just doing their nonsense again. So I think that right in there, you're, like, right in, like, DCeased number 4, the first run of DCeased. So you can maybe stop and fix that. I don't know.
Well, good, because I still care at that point.
Because at the end, a lot of these universes, the way they're set up, this Earth, they'll all be dead. There's nothing left. You go to the DC versus Vampires Earth, dead. You go here dead. I mean, that's not fun.
So I've seen this Earth.
Maybe we'll have vampires versus the deceased. We could have that.
The Wolfman.
There is a Wolfman Earth, Eric. I mean, we could get universal monster
it's a
shit
monster
going
mash.
on. Oh my goodness gracious. We have Red Rain. We got the vampires, and I know.
Who ordered the steak?
I know that.
Red
and also,
Rain versus DC versus vampires.
Yeah. The be-all, end-all. Who
sucks most?
Yeah, he's. I was trying to come up with something with fangs. Who has the best bite? I can't do it. Oh my goodness gracious! I just want somebody to say, "You're eating maggots, Superman," and then he freaks out. Right? He gets all upset. But oh no, yes, these weren't the greatest of deals, but there you go. That's what you get with the TGIF, right? Isn't that what we say?
It's a playful holiday weekend.
Yeah, this is a holiday weekend. A lot of people end up bailing on any sort of podcast listening and stuff like that. I heard somebody talking about the other day, because some people just end up listening at work and they have off, or they're all involved with this. But if you're here and you're out there like me, lonely on the holidays, welcome to the podcast. You're
surrounded by people.
Thank you. Thank you for listening, and I'm thinking of all you weirdos out there, the Get Fresh crew. But yeah, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. Have a nice time with that. We still have another podcast that will be coming out, our main podcast, coming up in a couple days. That'll be out on Christmas Day.
Sure will.
We don't take off, Eric. What are you talking about? But all in all, though, everybody have a happy holidays. I hope you enjoyed the show. I wish these books were a little better. At least we like them a little more, but that can always happen. Not with that Undead, or whatever. What is it called? All Out War. That's over.
Okay, I'm sitting here like, what
let
the
that
guys?
leave. I'm telling you, at this point, with even the tie-ins to Dark Crisis, all that nonsense, I'm starting to think that any tie-in we just bail on. I mean, there haven't been many that
Don't you tempt me.
Going with the idea, oh my God, that was great. It's really been a shit show. But I'm desperately trying to find
Insert
the books here.
cash register
Yeah,
sound.
really. Here comes the books that we'll talk about on the main show if you were interested in that. We have Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 10. In a week of tons of books, big things. Boy,
Titans.
That cliffhanger is crazy in that. Ooh, wait, Eric. Ooh, why? We also have Batman versus Robin, number 4. And that will kind of end. It doesn't end the series because there's a number 5, but that comes out a couple months from now. And in the meantime, this sets up Lazarus Planet. That's the next deal. It's very odd.
Weird.
Yeah, it is. Catwoman number 50. A lot of people talking
Anniversary
about that
issue.
one, asking Eric Shea to give his raspy, smoking 8-packs
What are
a
you
day
talking about? It's a
Catwoman.
classic Selena Kyle voice.
Yes, we'll hear that going on. We also have Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, number 7, the finale of the event. I was very disappointed with that. I'm waiting to hear
Spoilers,
what
man.
Eric says. I have a video for it. I think a lot of people were upset about it anyway. But we also have Flash number 789. That ends the bit that they were doing with the whole Warden Wolf stuff to get to the 1 minute war. Well, the 1 minute war is coming up. That usually is you and Jess in the sack. Right? She wants it to last longer. You want it to go less.
Surrender.
I
give up.
Yeah, really, you do. Nightwing number 99. We have a cool deal there going in, and that will be it. That's all the books that we'll have. Pretty tight podcast
Some
going
big books,
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, some big stuff. I said Titans, and you said it earlier, and it confused us the last time I said it, so I tried to avoid it.
Because we're talking about Titans. I had no idea what you're talking about.
And if you wanted to know why we could mention Stargirl, The Lost Children, number 2, and possibly Titans United, Blood Pack, number 4, those are on our Patreon-only spotlight that you can go right now and listen to on our Patreon, patreon.com/weirdScience. And that's that. That is it. So we are done with the TGIF. Eric, what do we say at the end?
In a world full of chimps, always make sure you go ape. Go read comics.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.